important thing I think when we draw out is that we all have a role to play within all these different sectors. And I think this is what the great thing is about money matters made simple, in terms of, we have gone through the stages with step change to look at debt. We've looked at it from an employee benefit perspective with benefits. We're looking at it on affordable credit, but it's also raising that awareness around affordable credit, because it's that accessibility to, what can be affordable. I think just taking John Allen's really good comment, and I hope he doesn't mind me just pulling you out of there, but it's interesting because he said mortgage, no stigma; student loan, no stigma; rent, stigma; paying someone else's mortgage; credit, stigma. You should have enough money to save, but you only have so much. And when the washing machine breaks down, you just don't have access to be able to go and get the extra £400 that needs to go into that washing machine. And this is what we've got to be mindful of, is people are not talking about the reality, but we all know that these are things that happen. And, you can sit on a webinar like this and we can all look as if, life is fine and everything is good. But at some point, something hits us and hits us hard, and that can impact us. And then the huge impact to mental health and physical well-being when we're worrying about money is huge. So here I'd like to really open up questions to the audience, and please do reach out. At this point, I'd like you to challenge, because I think we did, coming back to the poll in the beginning, we had someone that said, avoid affordable credit. Well, I'd really like the challenge, because I think, if we're looking at everything that's out here, and perhaps, Jason, a question to you. I know, what's a recommended approach for nervous employers looking to find out more? I think there's a lot of employers that are nervous because the word financial comes into play.
Yeah. Well, first of all, in the ideal world, no one would borrow money. Let's just be clear on that, okay? But I am proud to be involved in an organisation that does responsible, affordable lending, because in the real world, that is the first stage that many people have to engage with. So I think the first way I would, as an employer, many employers have already got many good things they're doing, but it's a bit like, you open that drawer in the kitchen with all bits and bobs in it. There's lots of good stuff in there, but it's not very well organised all the time, and you can't always see everything. Sometimes you need to just empty the drawer out, have a sort out. It's a bit like my wardrobe, actually. And I find out, actually, there's a pair of trousers there. Right? There's a good top I've forgotten about. The point is that most employers are already doing many good things. And it's not lots of changes that they need to make. And I think Nat will agree with me. Sometimes it's just a little tweak here, a little tweak there, perhaps, and particularly around communication. We've got a brilliant communication team. But, the point I'm saying is that when we look at employers, we say, okay, we approach it very much as a partnership. We say, okay, so what's working? What is not working? What are your pain points? And we know that HR professionals and ambassadors don't have oodles of time and massive budgets. So the reality is, and I would say to everyone, lower your expectations to be so small that you cannot but succeed. Let me say that again. Lower your expectations of what you're trying to achieve. So it's so easy to do that you get some momentum, you get progress. And this is what we teach people with their finances. We say, think small, right? Really, small is the new big. So it's the same with people who are designing programs or trying to get this on the agenda. Start with the smallest possible thing you can, the lowest hanging fruit, but have a big idea that you want to be world class and you want to really be rocking this, because this will be looking good for any HR professional who engages with this. Will get a halo effect, and that can confirm that, because when people say that was amazing, this is brilliant, this is the best thing since sliced bread, there's someone at a major retailer who saw a video of an employer said, I don't know who said yes to this, but it was a great idea, the whole package, it's the best thing since sliced bread, but it's the best kept secret, they should do more communications about it. And the person we showed that video to was the person who made the original decision to go with it, and also had the decision to decide to do more comms. So that was the evidence he needed. So the point I'm making is this isn't just good for staff. This is good for HR professionals who engage in it. Start small, work with partners, not just salary finance. There's lots of providers out there, you're benefit consultants, and just say, okay, what does good look like? And think, what's the smallest step we can make that has the biggest impact?
No,
Naz, can I?
Yeah,
can
absolutely.
I come in there? I would support everything that Jason's just said. But I would also say it's not just financial well-being and affordable borrowing. So for me, your financial well-being strategy is what your whole EVP sits on. So your whole employee value proposition, your whole employee offer. You know, back to what I said, it's the base of everything. Once you put that in, then you need to have, yes, affordable borrowing and savings, but you also need good discounts platform, somewhere where they can save money if they want to go and get a bike, you know, recommendations for cheaper gym membership. All those little pieces add up to a saving that might then afford you to borrow something else. So I think what I'm trying to say is it's not just, don't look at it in one, make sure you join it in so it becomes part of that employee offer. Because the minute you start making a difference to people's lives, the other thing they do is they don't go very far. So then your organisation sees people who stay. That organisation then sees a real drive in, they save money because they're not seeing a constant churn of people leaving. But those people then say to others, come work here. It's a really great place to work. So appreciate the halo comment, Jason, but I'm not sure that my mum would agree with you. But I do think absolutely, you know, it is a joint thing. And we constantly talk about mental health is financial health is where mental health was. I don't agree. Where we are now is where mental health was 10 years ago. You know, I also have 2 mental health conditions. I mean, God, I tick every box. I'm also a BAME because my dad was from Trinidad. So literally there isn't a box I don't tick. But, you know, nobody was talking about mental health openly years ago. I talk about it all the time now and actually have a huge amount of reasonable adjustments for me to be able to do what I do. But financial health isn't there yet. People don't talk about it, and until you get people talking about it and saying, I need that, then you're always going to struggle. So the biggest thing you can do as HR professionals is go and ask your people what they want and wave that in front of the people who are a little bit like, well, why do we need it? Why can't they just go and get an interest-free loan?
Now, it's worth just saying also, but a lot of your people won't always admit what they want. And I'm not saying you've got to make assumptions. They are in denial, many people, because of the shame and guilt, okay? And a lot of people feel that they're on their own. You know, one of the things I say is you're neither stupid nor behavioural problems or got a character flaw because you're in a financial, you're not where you want to be. And not everyone's in a terrible, extreme financial situation. We're talking about just a low level thing, okay? And people kind of instinctively, if you can just give them, some people need an oxygen mask, which is getting out of a really difficult situation. Other people don't need an oxygen mask. They just need to lose some layers and get a bit more leaner and sort of get a bit more, you know, metaphorically speaking, moving a bit with their money and feeling like they're getting ahead as opposed to treading water. So you have to meet everyone differently. But the point I must say is that you are not stupid because you are thinking about this. And I talk about this concept of conscious money. Right, we are all incapable of being good with money out of the block, most of us, but we can all be better. So if you assume that we're all, metaphorically speaking, financial sinners, in the sense that I don't mean that in religious terms, I mean that we are all not very good with money, but we can learn the skills and we can build the routines and we can build the environment that makes it easier for us to be better with money. And believe you me, if I can be better with money from where I was, believe you me, anyone can.
And I think the other thing is, Jason, you're absolutely right. People don't want to talk about it, but how we did it was salary fight. We were part of the What Works study, so we got some funding from the government as part of that big initiative that they did back in with the Money Advice Service, and we were one of the 60 employers. But actually, we used that approach. So we surveyed everyone. We highlighted our EVP. Then we did another survey, and Salary Finance helped us do another survey this year. And we've been able to compare step by step. Now our guys are quite happy to answer those questions, and they do it all anonymously. But we, in the very first one, well, the second question, the last question was, can we have your personal details because we would like to ask you more? 25% of the people who filled in that survey said, here's my email address, come and talk to me, I want to know more. So, you know, I think as long as you can encourage them and they know that it's a safe space, and they feel trusted, and trust me, there's nobody who's more cynical than a civil servant. Literally, they are really cynical culture, but they all got involved and they all wanted to share, and then it was just like this massive snowball. So I think, you know, one thing I put down earlier was, it's very important that you don't start from where you think everyone needs to be, and that your perceptions you don't push onto it unintentionally, but you push as the agenda. Because actually your beliefs and where you are isn't necessarily, I mean, mine could have been everybody needs help and needs the oxygen mask when I started in 2014. But actually that's not where DEFRA was. That's just where I was.
Yeah, no, thank you for that, Natalie. And it's quite interesting because you've already answered one of the questions that I was going to pose, which is around communication. And I think Jason and yourself have done a good job around it. And resonating as well is just think small, lower your expectation, and it's the low hanging fruit. And I think it's just be brave enough to start, because rather than stepping back, do something. And it doesn't have to be one of these solutions, but there's a lot out there. But educate yourself and then be able to offer it to your employees. With that, I'm gonna move into our poll 2, which is the same as we had in the beginning, and we're just trying to gauge whether attitudes have actually changed. But as I said, the chat is still open. This is not a conversation just for this 1 hour that we have together. Please come back to us. Challenge. I constantly use that word about challenge. I love a challenge. And I want more of us challenging, because we're not going to move the needle on well-being as a totality if we don't start challenging the status quo. So I'm just going to bring up the poll again. So be with me while I bring it up. So just launching it again. So in your current view on offering affordable credit options for employees through the workplace, yep, it's just trying to bring up more I don't know much about it. It should be avoided. It has its place within financial well-being. Employers need to know all the options. It is a better alternative to unaffordable credit. So I'll do that for a couple of seconds. And please do keep on going on in the chat. Just looking at the chat and double here. Are there quantitative measures you have collected to demonstrate the impact of affordable credit? So it's both the quantitative and the qualitative, I would say. That's a question from Phil Broadhead. Luke, I'm going to give this question to you, because I guess from a salary finance perspective and a lot of the resources you share.
Yeah, I was actually just writing a reply. But I suppose the reply was, yeah, there's absolutely loads. So probably not enough time to cover. If people want to reach out and discuss it further, then please do on LinkedIn or via Ryan and Nuz. But what I would say is, one of the things that we're most proud of is, you got to think 2/3 of the UK's population don't have great credit scores or profiles. Okay, so as Jason said before, it's easy to borrow money, but doing it on fair terms, affordable terms, that's the difficult thing. So if if you're one of those 2/3, or if you're credit invisible because you're young, or you haven't borrowed before, it's really important for everything you do in the mainstream marketplace. When it comes to getting the car finance if you really need it, getting the mortgage, etc. You've got to have get the best rates from those mainstream lenders, a great credit profile. So by working through an employer scheme with all the benefits for the reasons that Jason mentioned before, what we see is, most pleasingly, is people come out the other end just in a better situation financially and better able to save, but they're now opened up to, fairer products and services in that mainstream marketplace. And if you're going to get a mortgage that's going to have a better deal for you, that's going to last 25, 30 years potentially. So the impact there can be huge. And there's a whole range of other benefits we can talk about at sort of macro level, individual level, at the employer level for
Luke, sorry to interrupt. Can I just give an exact answer, because I think this will blow people away. This is on my desk last week. Basically, an employer, a public sector employer, large workforce, wanted to know, will people need affordable borrowing? Will people need advances of earned pay? And these were the two particular products. And what I did was I looked at the universal credit data, I looked at the ONS median wages data, and basically we built a model for this employer where we said, look, if your employees just meet the national average profile by using DWP numbers and et cetera, and we knew we could work out how many were taking payday loans and how much it was costing them, and how much were taking out expensive other types of credit. We worked out from the employers, if they were just like the average, but we believed that they are actually above average because their workforce was slightly lower paid and younger, etc. We worked out that their staff were paying £48 million in interest a year. And by moving into our product situation, even if take up was only a third, basically we worked out that we could drop the cost to something like £3 million. So they were borrowing this money anyway and using this stuff. That is an enormous saving. And to say that we're not going to get involved with it, or we as an organisation are not we are proud of this, because we are taking people from high cost that they're going to use anyway to much lower cost together with education and the pathways to other things. So just want to say that, Luke, that was an analysis that was done last week. That is 1/10 of the cost, and that is obviously caveats with lots of assumptions, but that's real. They're real people with real costs.
No, thank you for that, Jason. And again, there's some case studies and some really great resources that we'll be getting from the team. So we'll be able to share after with the recording. So I'm just going to share the results, and I'm pleased to say that it looks like, there has been some movement in that. We've moved away a little bit from I don't know much about it, and it should be avoided, to at least in the three boxes below. So I'm pleased with that, and I'm sure this is the purpose of why we're doing what we're doing. On that note, I'm going to pause there and thank our guests for their time. I mean, I could sit here the whole day and talk about financial well-being. I'm sure many of us could. We have so much on it to talk about. But please do get in touch. John Allen, I haven't forgotten your questions. I will come back to it once I've handed over to, I guess, Ryan to just finish us off, and also just to give us a bit of a final update on Let's Improve Workplace Wellbeing and the next one. But heartfelt thank you to Natalie, Luke, and Jason. Thank you for the energy, because it really resonates with all of us, and we are on a learning journey. Please reach out, and I use the word again, challenge. Do not sit back and not challenge, because that's how we're going to get this right. Over to you, Ryan.
Thanks, Nuz. Yeah, I thought it was brilliant, really interesting, captivating. I just put in the chat there that we speak to lots of employers, and it always comes up. Are we encouraging borrowing? Well, we want to encourage financial resilience, obviously, but as you've said, Nuz, there's a place for this, and is it a better alternative than what's out there? Than most probably. So thank you everyone for attending. Thanks for taking the time to join this Zoom session, yet another Zoom. Thank you to our guest speakers. Thanks, Jason, Luke, and Natalie as well. Thank you, Nuz, for hosting as brilliantly as always. The next date for your diary, just to let you know, so we'll be on the 4th of 6 events. So the next one is all about financial education and how you can give access to financial education and various forms of financial education to your employees. That's going to be with Justine Piercy of the Money Charity, and another couple of employers that will be speaking on that one. The date for your diary is Tuesday, the 25th of January. So December will be off. You'll be pleased to know, nothing in December. But yeah, we'll be back with a bang in January to look at that. And then we'll look at guidance and then advice at the end. So feel free to connect on LinkedIn, connect with our page on LinkedIn, look at the website, get in touch if you want to get involved as ambassadors, or if you've got any questions. But yeah, thank you for everyone, and have a great day.
Yeah. And just a big, huge congratulations to Let's Improve Workplace Wellbeing. We at our 100 mark of ambassadors. These are all our wellbeing leads, HRDs, etc., from a variety of organizations, both large and small enterprises. So a really big thank you as well for all the support. And then I always appreciate some people are rushing off. We do have a little bit of time. So I guess coming back to Jason, and please drop off if you feel like you need to drop off. I don't know if Jason's dropped off yet, but maybe Natalie, you could answer this. John Allen asked the question around how do you convince a nervous board of directors or trustees to invest more in financial well-being at work? They see things like affordable credit as a risk, and some old-fashioned men think it's encourages people to get into debt. So yes,
so I think it's back to that whole, all business leaders want the so what. So what? So what does it mean to me if I do this? Why is it important to me? I think Jason's stats there are 48 million down to 3 million. Incredible, but you will all know your individual leadership teams. Like I said, nobody is more cautious than, leadership in the civil service. We're held to a completely different level of scrutiny in Whitehall 16. And so when you start throwing things around like salary and finance and affordable borrowing, people are really nervous. But as I said, it's about making it normal. It's about finding out, doing those surveys, focus groups, pulse surveys, whatever it is with your employees, to find out which bit of financial education or products they need the most, and then focusing on those. We didn't start with affordable credit. We started with education, because that's the way that we needed to do it. It was a very slow process for us, you know, and we are now heading towards affordable credit, but it's taken me 4 years to get there, you know. So it isn't necessarily going to be, you're going to walk in and everyone's going, oh, yeah, this is great, let me do this, this is amazing. So what you need to do is you need to show those successes. I think somebody asked about what, you know, what measures are there? What do you do? From that survey, just in that real short space of time, we've been on an hour. You know, we've gone from all of the questions being answered to just the bottom 3 now. And I think it's about slowly catch you monkey. I love saying that expression. V, who's my client success manager in salary finance, loves it too. But it's not about, there's no rush. There's no, you know, there's no one size fits all. As I said, it's about knowing your business, knowing your employees, and trying to join the two up. Because what you'll find to start with is that they're like that. What you need to do is bring them to the same place. You need to explain to them about, you know, there's so many stats out there, and Salary Finance can help with that, or any of the providers, about the difference it makes to attendance, about the difference it makes to retention. You know, if you've got an organisation where a lot of people are continually leaving, if they've suddenly got an affordable loan that's net deductible out of their salary, they're not going anywhere for 2 years. You know, so it is finding what button to press and making sure that you make it attractive to that piece, really. Does that answer the question? I'm not sure if I kind of waffled a bit too much then.
No, I think for me, I mean, and John, Alan, do pipe in, because I guess we've just got a few more people, and we've got like 4 minutes left on the clock. But I think I think the thing that resonates the most is you've got to start somewhere, and knowing your people is the crucial bit.
But as HR professionals, for me, that if you don't know your people, then it's very hard to deliver anything around an employee offer and an EVP space. So, you know, we're all HR people because we like dealing with people, you know, so there's, you know, that's second nature for us. It's about convincing everybody else, I think, that that's what your people need. And you have to be prepared to take a few knocks along the way. And, you know, sometimes you're going to get pushed back, but that's where you have to be really passionate and really resilient.
And I think, Natalie, you spoke about this, and I guess it's that debunking the myths around financial well-being. That's really essential. It's not, when you say the word financial well-being, it doesn't mean we're going to send you off to a financial advisor that's going to say this. That's not what it means. It's about educating. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that.
I don't use financial well-being too much anymore. I think it's about financial capability, because financial capability is the driver. Financial wellness is the outcome. And it starts from my granddad was a farmer, right? And when he went to plough the fields, you've got to prepare the soil, right? Then you've got to plant the seed. But in order for the seed to grow before you can reap the benefits of it, you've got to look after it, you've got to nurture it, you've got to grow it. And I think that's what you've got to see that as, you know, is that you have to just keep gently tender, you know, and changing. So if it needs to be moved, or if you need to go in a different direction, you can't just sit in that one space. You know, it's really, really important that you're agile and that you move around, because if you have a really set kind of square peg, that will never go through a round hole, you know, and your provider needs to be there for you to help you with that.